What is going on, guys? Welcome to the stream. I appreciate you guys being here. Hope you guys enjoyed my starting screen. Paid a lot of money for that. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this slate. We are going to go a bit of game by game. Gonna go rapid fire through that because we don't have all that much news just yet. I want to make sure we get through everything first, and then I can be available for questions throughout the stream. And when the news does end up breaking, we can break that down like yesterday when we saw the starting lineup for the Nets that actually changed a ton. So we got off Bruce Brown, made some moves, made a lot of pivots to Nemanja Bjelica, who won us a lot of money yesterday. If you guys want to join my Discord, it is completely free, linked down below. And this video is sponsored by PrizePicks.com. Receive a 100% match bonus up to $100 when signing up and depositing over there. I'm going to go over some of my favorite Prize Picks plays over there because we started off yesterday very, very hot on Prize Picks, and I'm falling in love with this site. I think there are some egregious numbers on their board, and we can take advantage of that. But let's just jump right into this slate. Okay. We will start over here on DraftKings with the Indiana Pacers versus the Charlotte Hornets. If I can bring up my notes. Hold up, guys. Bit of technical difficulties here for me. But we did just receive news from the Indiana Pacers that Justin Holiday and Jeremy Lamb are going to be out, are going to be active in this game. So Chris Duarte is no longer in play. Domantas Sabonis at 9.8K is firmly in play. I'd love him on both sides, but with Nikola Jokic and Joel Embiid, such strong plays on the slate, guys like Domantas Sabonis are kind of going to the wayside for me personally. Man, can I find my game notes? Achua at 3.1K is criminally low. I mean, Chris Boucher's back. Cambridge is in the full swing of things now. I don't believe that Precious plays all that much today. Nick Nurse did mention that he wants to play a very, very tight rotation. So OG Anunoby, one of my favorite plays on the slate. We'll get to the Toronto Raptors in a bit. But I got my game notes up now. So yeah, Duarte no longer in play. Domantas Sabonis, last year we were paying $10,000+ for him at the end of the season, and we were feeling good about that. Averaged 1.4 fantasy points per minute last year with no TJ Warren and Karis LeVert on the court. And in competitive games, he'll play upwards of 40 minutes. Obviously, they have a new coach now, so it's a bit different. But I still think that he is a very strong play on this slate. Malcolm Brogdon is 7,500. He's priced around LaMelo Ball, so I kind of prefer LaMelo here, especially with Terry Rozier being downgraded to questionable. A midday downgrade is never good. It looks like Brogdon is going to play much better play on FanDuel than he is on DraftKings. And then I'm not really interested in the rest of that team on the Charlotte Hornets side. So yeah, Terry Rozier was downgraded to questionable in the middle of the day. So that is going to open up a ton of usage and ball handling responsibilities for LaMelo Ball. I was off LaMelo before this news just because they don't really extend his minutes too far past the 32-minute mark. But with no Rozier and no Devontae Graham on the team, I mean, the offense should completely run through him. And at $7,700, he can pay off that price tag in limited amount of time. Move over to the Chicago Bulls versus the Detroit Pistons. A 220 over-under. Bulls are currently 5-point favorites. The Bulls are going to be without Kobe White, but this team might be the tightest rotation in the entire league, battling with the Raptors, who Nick Nurse just said that he wants to run like a 9-man rotation over there. And I think we could see a similar situation with the Chicago Bulls. The starting lineup, even Patrick Williams at 4,200, he played 24 minutes in his last preseason game coming off of injury. I think he is a full go. I think he's going to end up, they say they're going to monitor his minutes and see how he's doing, but I'm sure he's going to be just fine out there. And I think he plays upwards of like 32 minutes in this game. 4,200, very, very affordable for him. Alex Caruso off the bench at 3,500. I'm expecting him to play anywhere from 24 to 26, maybe 28 minutes in this game. 3,500. If you need a cheap guard in the 3Ks, Alex Caruso is probably your man. The Detroit Pistons, there's really nothing even worth mentioning. Cade Cunningham, Chris Smith, and Isaiah Livers are out. I'm not considering anybody on this Detroit Pistons team. There's 11 games on the slate, so when there's teams like that really don't garner any fantasy value, I'm just really going to gravitate towards other teams. The Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks. The Celtics are currently 218, or it's a 218.5 over under. Knicks are currently 2-point favorites. We already got the starting lineup of Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, and Grant Williams. Grant Williams getting the sneaky start at the 4. Al Horford is out in this game, and now Josh Richardson is also out. It looks like Jaylen Brown is going to play. There was some question about that due to his somebody said no Lonzo. That's not true. Okay. And no Josh Richardson on this team now, so that's going to open up some minutes for Dennis Schroeder off of the bench. And obviously Grant Williams, I don't think would have got the start if Josh Richardson was playing in this game. So at minimum price, I guess I don't hate him. He's probably only going to play like 18-20 minutes. He's not a good fantasy producer. I wouldn't suggest playing him, but if he's like your last guy in and you need a minimum price guy, I mean, that's probably the route you end up going, unless you can get to Alperen Sengun at a center spot at minimum price. I'd much prefer him. But with this team, I'm really just with Jaylen Brown playing, I'm really just focusing in on Robert Williams at 5.1K. Averaged 1.27 fantasy points per minute last year in over 1,000 minutes. And there's no Al Horford. I'm expecting him to play, probably a minimum of 26 minutes, upwards of 32 minutes. He has always been a very good producer when he's out there on the court. It's just been a question of his health. But this is the beginning of the season. He is healthy right now. There is no Al Horford. I don't expect him to play Enes Kanter all that much. So I think Robert Williams gets some good run here. And on the opposite side, we get the New York Knicks. We just got news that Taj Gibson is also out. Nerlens Noel was doubtful. He is out as well. And so we're getting Mitchell Robinson starting at the 5 in this game. He's coming off of injury, so I don't know how much he's going to end up playing. So that's going to leave a lot of minutes for Julius Randle at the 5, which is also going to end up leading to more minutes for Obi Toppin at the 4. So I guess that is a slight boost to Julius Randle. Randle was already one of my favorite spin-up options on the slate, but now that he's going to get more run at the 5, I think he is even more so in play. And then Obi Toppin at 3,600, wasn't really considering him before this news. I'm not really considering him now. I guess he is worth a tournament mention, because Scottie Barnes in the next game is going to be so popular. If you want to make like a direct pivot off of him and go to Obi Toppin, I guess that is justifiable in some sense. In cash games or single entry, I would not do that at all. And then I think RJ Barrett at $5,700 is a pretty good play. He was 14th in minutes last year, almost 35 minutes per game. And I think we see a similar situation this year, if not an extra couple of minutes for RJ Barrett. Love him at 5.7K. Over to the Washington Wizards versus the Toronto Raptors. One of my favorite teams on the slate, or games on the slate to target. At 218.5 over under. Raptors minus 2.5 point favorites. The Wizards are going to be without Thomas Bryant, Cassius Winston. Rui Hachimura is also going to miss this game. Bradley Beal looks like he is good to go after exiting the last preseason game in the first quarter. We played him in that game and we still ended up cashing. It just shows how hot of a streak we are on. And by the way, guys, if you guys want to know exactly what I'm playing on FanDuel, DraftKings, and PrizePicks, you guys can join my Patreon linked down below. But Bradley Beal last year without Russell Westbrook on the team, a 40.3% usage rating, 29.3 assist percentage, average 1.5 fantasy points per minute. And, I don't think very many people are going to play him today. I think people are gravitating towards these centers in the big men. And Bradley Beal is going to have very, very little ownership. And they're facing a Toronto team that is known for their defensive prowess. But they're without Kyle Lowry and without Pascal Siakam now. So this defense takes quite a hit without those two guys. And then I think the rest of this team is just entirely too cheap. Spencer Dinwiddie, my favorite point per dollar value play on the slate at 4.9K. Their starting point guard, him and Bradley Beal throughout the preseason have been staggering their minutes. So a lot of the time he's out there running the offense by himself without Bradley Beal. And so I like that quite a bit. 4.9K, should play 34 minutes. Has always been a good per minute producer. Kyle Kuzma, I'm a bigger proponent of him on FanDuel than I am on DraftKings. But again, if you look at the rotations in the preseason, it looks like he's going to play 32, 34 minutes a game. And without playing next to Anthony Davis and LeBron James, he should have his selection at as many shots as he wants, as we saw in the preseason. I know a lot of people have bad biases towards Kyle Kuzma, but he is squarely in play on this slate. I think that he has a ton of upside. And then Daniel Gafford and Montrezl Harrell, without Thomas Bryant, should split all 48 center minutes, with Daniel Gafford getting the start. I think it should be pretty even. I think Gafford probably plays about 26 minutes and then Montrezl Harrell 22 minutes. But given their prices, I think they can easily pay off these prices just because of how good of fantasy producers they are. Go back to last year, Daniel Gafford, 1.22 fantasy points per minute. Montrezl Harrell has also been a career over 1 fantasy point per minute producer. It's just unfortunate that they eat up a center position that is very, very strong today, especially when we're talking about the upper range with Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Move over to the Toronto Raptors. They are obviously without Pascal Siakam, Yuta Watanabe. Chris Boucher is active in this game. So that muddies the front court of this Toronto Raptors team with Boucher back. Ken Birch is also healthy. Precious Achiuwa is going to grab the start. He's only 3,100. I think people are going to gravitate towards him because he had a couple good preseason games, but we saw his minutes start to tail off at the end of the preseason when Ken Birch returned, and now we get Chris Boucher returning, and he should play a few minutes as well. So I'm not going to fall for that Precious Achiuwa trap. If he beats me, he beats me, but I don't think he's going to play enough minutes to do so, and he is relatively scoring dependent, so not on Precious Achiuwa. It's going to be Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby, two of my favorite plays on the entire slate. Go back to last year without Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam. In 287 minutes, Fred VanVleet, a 31.4% usage rating, 32.3 assist percentage, averaging 1.19 fantasy points per minute. He's always near the top in league leaders in minutes per game. $7,500 I think is a fair price tag for him, but it's OG Anunoby at $6,100 who I think we should really be targeting here. I think in a week's time, a week or two, we are going to see OG Anunoby in the 7Ks. He has really upgraded his offensive game throughout the offseason, and it is going to show this season without Pascal Siakam and Lowry not on the team any longer. If you look at the 4 preseason games that OG Anunoby played, he was playing next to Fred VanVleet, and he led the starting lineup in usage in all 4 of those games. Absolutely love OG Anunoby. He has always been a very, very good peripheral guy, getting those rebounds, steals, blocks, but now if he's going to add an offensive game to him, I think he's going to take his game, his fantasy game specifically, to a whole nother level. And I think we're going to look back and see, wow, we got OG Anunoby, the second offensive option on the Toronto Raptors, who's going to play 33, 34, 35 minutes against a Washington Wizards team that is dreadful on defense, a pace-up spot. At $6,100, I think that we are going to be kicking ourselves if we're not getting to OG Anunoby here while we can. Also worth mentioning on the Toronto Raptors, rookie Scotty Barnes is grabbing the start, and they plan on using him a ton. And Nick Nurse already mentioned that they wanted to run him a very, very tight rotation, like 9 men. So I'm expecting Scotty Barnes to play, 32, 34 minutes in this game. He's only $3,400. One of the best, if not the best, value play on DraftKings.com. Move over to the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Memphis Grizzlies. Not really interested in anybody on the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're overpriced. Outside of Evan Mobley, looks like he's going to play about 30 minutes in this game. Obviously, he is their new rookie big man. But he has shown a propensity to be a good fantasy player. If preseason showed us anything, he is only $4,500. If you have the money to get up from maybe Scotty Barnes to him, and you want to get a bit different, I guess Evan Mobley is in consideration. But the rest of this team, I'm not really interested in. On the Memphis Grizzlies side, John Morant is probably too expensive for me over here on DraftKings. Much more affordable on FanDuel. I think he is in a good spot. This price is not very enticing. The Grizzlies are going to be without Dylan Brooks. Jonas Valanciunas obviously not on this team anymore, being replaced by Steven Adams, who is a much, much worse offensive player and is going to leave a lot more usage to guys like John Morant, but specifically Jaren Jackson Jr., the cover boy at $5.9K. Go back to last year without Dylan Brooks and Jonas Valanciunas on the court. John Morant averaged 1.31 fantasy points per minute, but Jaren Jackson right behind him, 1.28 fantasy points per minute. You know, the biggest problem with him has been his durability issues, but this is the beginning of the season, the first game of the season. He's had a full offseason, preseason. He dominated preseason, and he looked good enough, and the Memphis Grizzlies are comfortable enough with him in his durability issues that they granted him a 4-year, $105 million contract extension. I'm expecting Jaren Jackson Jr. to play 32, maybe upwards of 34 minutes this year per game, and he is only $5,900. I love Jaren Jackson Jr. today. Let me take a drink real quick. I'm running out of steam today. Okay. Move over to the Houston Rockets versus the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Houston Rockets are going to be without John Wall for the entire season. Garrison Matthews, Daniel House Jr. also out in this game. Actually, Daniel House Jr. is continuing to be questionable, but we already got the starting lineup of Christian Wood, Kevin Porter Jr., Eric Gordon, Daniel Tice, and Jalen Green. Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be running the point. I love him on FanDuel. Love him on FanDuel. DraftKings, he's a bit overpriced for me. But then Jalen Green, their rookie, at $4,300 or $4,200. Shooting guard is very weak today on this slate. Specifically on DraftKings. So I'm going to be getting to a lot of Jalen Green, one of the better value plays on the slate. Excuse me. And it gets a good matchup against the Minnesota Timberwolves. Should be a higher scoring offensive game. So I'm really just targeting Jalen Green from this Houston Rockets team on DraftKings. The rest of the team, strictly GPP plays for me. If you need a minimum price $3,000 guy in your utility, I would go with Alperen Sengun. He's going to play whatever center minutes that Daniel Tice and Christian Wood do not play. So, you know, maybe in between 16 and 18 minutes for Sengun. But he is going to be a well over a fantasy point per minute player. And if this game does blow out, Sengun is going to get all of that fourth quarter run and could absolutely dominate if he plays 20-22 minutes in this game. Move over to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They get the best matchup in the entire league. They were gifted the matchup against the Houston Rockets, one of the fastest, if not the fastest team in the league, and the worst defense in the league by far. But I think they are priced appropriately. Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Edwards are all definitely in play. But like I said, I think they're appropriately priced. Karl Anthony Towns last year averaged 1.43 fantasy points per minute. D'Angelo Russell 1.2. Anthony Edwards 1.03 fantasy points per minute. Should play into the 30s in minutes, assuming that this game does stay competitive. I love Cat today, but man, Jokic and Embiid are in such good spots. Without their other star players on their teams today. So Karl Anthony Towns kind of goes to the wayside for me. I'm really targeting on Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic. Move over to the Philadelphia 76ers versus the New Orleans Pelicans. The Sixers are going to be without Ben Simmons, Shake Milton, and Grant Riller. So they are very, very thin in the backcourt. So Tyrese Maxey is going to grab the start here. Luckily, Shake Milton is out because Milton was breathing down his neck and actually surpassed him in the depth chart. But Maxey, only $4,000, very affordable on FanDuel as well. I love Tyrese Maxey today at $4,000. Probably, outside of Spencer Dinwiddie, probably the best point per dollar value on the entire slate. He should play into the 30s minutes, gets a good matchup against the New Orleans Pelicans. And you go back to last year without Ben Simmons and Shake Milton on the court. Tyrese Maxey averaged 1.07 fantasy points per minute. But Joel Embiid probably, he is my favorite spend-up option on the entire slate. At 10.6K, I'm just going ahead and locking him in on FanDuel and DraftKings. With no Ben Simmons on the court last year in 463 minutes, he has a massive 43.6% usage rating, 21.5 total rebound percentage, 22.2 assist percentage, averaging 1.84 fantasy points per minute. And Joel Embiid is kind of a spiteful guy, you know, dealing with all this Ben Simmons shit is taking the light away from him. He's kind of like LeBron James to me, where, you know, when he wants to turn it on a bit extra, I think that he does. And I think this is a situation where he will do this. He can dominate this New Orleans Pelicans front court that no longer has Steven Adams and is replaced by Jonas Valanciunas, who is very good offensively, but the defensive side is quite the opposite for him. I think Joel Embiid puts up like a 65, 70 spot tonight as a hot take. I love Joel Embiid tonight. Also don't mind Tyrese Maxey. I think Tobias Harris is a fine play, but I'm just not ending up on too much of him just because I'm already playing Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. But he is squarely in play if you're not playing those other 76ers guys. With there being 11 games on the slate, I don't want to be playing 3 guys from one team, especially when they're more expensive. Go over to the New Orleans Pelicans. Zion Williamson is out in this game. I believe Tomas Satoransky is also out. So Brandon Ingram is probably going to carry the offensive load for this team. I think he's fine at $7,700 if you want to bring it back against the 76ers team and Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I guess Brandon Ingram is fine, but I'm really not finding myself getting onto too many of these Pelicans guys. See if we got any news. No news. No news yet. Okay. Yeah, guys, I don't provide full FanDuel or DraftKings lines, but yeah, I'm taking care of myself. I am just talking too much lately. Move over to the Orlando Magic versus the San Antonio Spurs. A 213 over-under. Spurs are currently 5.5-point favorites. The Orlando Magic are going to be without Michael Carter-Williams, Markelle Fultz, Jonathan Isaac, Chuma Okeke, Etuan Moore, and then Jalen Suggs is questionable. If Suggs does miss this game, which he's expected to play, Cole Anthony would be thrown into the fire to play pretty big minutes. But he is just too expensive at $6,700 for me. If Jalen Suggs does play, I think he plays mid-20s minutes, maybe the upper range of that. And he is $4,000. Actually, it looks like Jalen Suggs is... Yeah, he's off the injury report. Okay, so he is active in this game. $4,000. He is a good pivot off of Jalen Green. A very good pivot off of Jalen Green. If you need to save a couple $100 at the shooting guard spot, you can't get up to Jalen Green, just go to Jalen Suggs. I think he is fine. But the rest of this team, I'm not very interested in. I think that they are a very, very even team. You saw the rotations in the preseason. They're going to play very even amount of minutes. I don't think anybody runs away with like any more than like 30 minutes in this on this team. The minutes are going to be very spread out, much like the production. Move over to the San Antonio Spurs side. The Spurs are going to be without Zach Collins, Devontae Cacok. Jock Landale is also actually we just got news on it. He's either in or out. He's not going to be in the rotation regardless. But DeJounte Murray and Derek White are going to be the leaders of this offense, with Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, and DeMar DeRozan no longer on the team. I think they're priced appropriately, though. I would consider Derek White at $6,100. He has been very dominant with those guys off the court. A very, very good play on FanDuel, and I might say that he is a lock over there. But the rest of this team, I'm not all that interested in. Don't think they are viable on this slate. More of the same with the Oklahoma City Thunder. We know how good Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is. Especially with playing with a talentless team in the Oklahoma City Thunder. Blowout is definitely in risk in this game, although I don't like predicting it. They are 12-point dogs on the road against probably the best defense in the entire NBA, especially in the regular season. So I'm probably shying away from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. If you guys want a sneaky play on this Oklahoma City team, it's probably going to be Josh Giddey. He should continue to grab the start like he had been in the preseason. And if this game does blow out, he should dominate in the fourth quarter, not playing next to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, because when he really takes off, that is when he is facilitating and he has the ball in his hands. I could definitely see a situation this year without Shai Gilgeous on the court. He could grab a triple-double at some point this year. Pretty hot take, but he does have those capabilities. He's good with the peripherals and very good facilitator. On the Utah Jazz side, yeah, they are just very, very expensive. Donovan Mitchell, 9.6K. I don't quite understand that. I don't think he's going to be playing 40-plus minutes like he was in the playoffs last year. So not interested in him at all at that price. And then everybody else on this team is very, very underwhelming, with the team relatively healthy. Move over to the Denver Nuggets and the Phoenix Suns. We get a 223.5 over-under. The Suns are currently 6-point favorites, which I think is pretty funny because I know that they're missing Jamal Murray, but I think Nikola Jokic is getting a bit disrespected here. I know Phoenix is at home, but Nikola Jokic last year without Jamal Murray on the court in 1,470 minutes averaged 1.64 fantasy points per minute. I think he is the second best spend-up option on the slate outside of Joel Embiid. You can go ahead and play both of them. There's plenty of value to do so. I think that is the route I am personally going today on DraftKings. Unfortunately, they're both center only eligible on FanDuel, so can't really go there. go that route there. And then Michael Porter Jr. at 6,400 is one of the better plays on the slate. I know I'm going to get this question. I do prefer OG Anunoby and Jaren Jackson Jr. to him, but all three of them are very, very strong plays. Go back to last year without Jamal Murray on the court in 1,400 minutes for Michael Porter, averaged 1.08 fantasy points per minute. And with him and Jokic really being the only two offensive players on this team, I'm expecting them to stagger their minutes like we saw in the preseason, which is going to leave a lot of ball handling responsibilities for Michael Porter Jr. He should be able to get his shots up. I think he is in a great spot here. Move over to the Phoenix Suns. Yeah, they're pretty healthy outside of Dario Saric being out. But when this team is healthy, I'm really not interested in anybody on this team. I guess Devin Booker and Chris Paul obviously offer upside, but I'm not really interested in any of these guys. And then the Sacramento Kings versus the Portland Trailblazers, the highest over-under on the slate at 232.5. Trailblazers are currently 5-point home favorites. Start with the Sacramento Kings. They have no injuries, but we did receive news that Marvin Bagley was informed that he's not going to be in the rotation for opening night and probably the foreseeable future. Hilarious that they took him above Luka Doncic, and now that they don't even want to play him in their lineups. And so he wasn't playing any minutes at the 5. So this is going to open up some wing minutes for guys like Halliburton, Hield, Barnes. I think that just secures their minutes. And I think Mo Harkless and Terrence Davis get into the rotation as well. But as you see, everybody on this team is very, very priced up. And even though this game does have the highest projected team total by a large game total by a large margin, I'm not really interested in any of these Sacramento Kings guys. I do like Fox on FanDuel. DraftKings, just not really any interest there given their prices. And then more of the same, except to a bit of a lesser extent for the Portland Trailblazers. Their only injury is Tony Snell. He is out of this game. Damian Lillard, we know who he is. 10.1K. He does carry GPP upside, but with Jokic and Embiid on the slate, I'd just much rather go to those guys. And point guard is really stacked in the value department with Tyrese Maxey and Spencer Dinwiddie. So I'm just really not getting to all that much of Damian Lillard. I think CJ McCollum and Yusuf Nurkic are much more viable at 7.2K and 7K. Especially given this matchup against the Sacramento Kings. They have the highest implied team total on the entire slate. So if I'm on anybody from this Trailblazers team, it's going to be Nurkic or CJ McCollum. But we got through that in about 30 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and take some look at the news, get some questions going through. If you guys want to know exactly what I'm doing on DraftKings and FanDuel.com, as well as Prize Picks, make sure to check it out in the link down below in the Patreon. If you guys want to join my free Discord, that is also completely free in the description down below. Make sure to subscribe, like if you haven't done so already. So Terry Rozier is officially out. So yeah, I mean, Terry Rozier being out just is obviously a very, very big bump to LaMelo Ball. And we'll actually do this live on Add More Funds. Let's take a look at him. I think he plays, a minimum of 32 minutes in this game. They probably extend him out a bit more than normal. But we're going to go to this Charlotte Hornets team last year, and we're going to take a couple of these guys off and see what kind of rates we're getting from LaMelo Ball. We can go ahead and take Terry Rozier, who is obviously out now. We can take off Devontae Graham. We're going to get a really small sample size with this. I'm not going to take off anybody else. Yeah, very limited sample size if I could find LaMelo. Okay, so 295 minutes. That's actually a pretty decent sample size. A 26.2% usage rating. An assist percentage of 30.2%. So he leads the team in both of those rates. A 10.1 total rebound percentage, which is actually pretty good. And then average 1.12 fantasy points per minute. So, it's not actually as big of a bump as I would expect. But, LaMelo Ball was a rookie last year, and he's only getting better. So I'm expecting these rates to improve. But not very drastic rates that you might have been expecting. I still like him, especially on FanDuel. DraftKings, he's a bit expensive. I might prefer Fred VanVleet to LaMelo Ball, but he is squarely in play for sure. Sabonis or Beal? I'm going to go with Sabonis there. Drop the link for that hoodie. Yeah, maybe. Montrezl Harrell thoughts. Yeah, I think Montrezl Harrell is definitely in play tonight. Like I said, no Thomas Bryant. Him and Daniel Gafford are going to split all 48 of those center minutes. Leaving Montrez to probably play 22, 24 minutes in this game has always been a well over a fantasy point per minute player. He is in the mid 3Ks on DraftKings. I think he's like 4K on FanDuel, so definitely in play over there. It's just unfortunate that he eats up a center spot. But yeah, there are some plays over here on PrizePicks that I wanted to talk about that I think are just egregiously high for some of these guys. And one of them is going to be Jae'Sean Tate. I already placed 3 bets over here. If you guys are part of the Patreon, you already got that ahead of time. And now these lines will move. So if you're going to play, enter them now before the lines end up moving, because as I'm talking about this, I'm sure a lot of people are going to start hopping on it. But Jae'Sean Tate, 24 fantasy points. It's hard for me to imagine him getting there. You go into the preseason when he was playing high 20s minutes, he wasn't even reaching 20 fantasy points, and now he's not even grabbing the start, and everybody's healthy. Eric Gordon's probably going to play more minutes than he was in the preseason. It's just really going to be hard for Jae'Sean Tate to find minutes, and he's not a good per minute producer anyways. And another guy I wanted to hit the under on is Mo Bamba. If I can find him. Did they take him off? No, he's up here. Yeah, Mo Bamba's projection is 35 fantasy points. 35 fantasy points for Mo Bamba. If he gets the minutes, he can definitely do that. But Wendell Carter Jr. is now on the team, and so it did not work out in the preseason when they experimented with Wendell Carter Jr. playing next to Mo Bamba. So they are going to split these 48 center minutes likely. I don't think they play much, if at all, next to each other. And so I am slamming the under on Mo Bamba and Jae'Sean Tate. I already hit this bet, and if you guys were a part of the Patreon, you could have hopped on that as well. And if you guys want to add a third one, you can add OG Anunoby, the over 32 fantasy points as well. You can 5x your money by placing this bet, or you can play a bit safer, but I like to play a bit riskier with the power plays. If you guys want to play over here, if you want a 100% match bonus, up to $100, make sure to sign up using code Taylor. Instant deposit bonus. So I think is a pretty solid deal over there. But we'll get to some questions right now. Rozier out, bumps minutes to Cody Martin. I mean, come on, we can't really be considering Cody Martin on the slate. There's 22 teams on this slate, and you want to roster Cody Martin? I don't think that is the route you probably want to go today. Top spin-up guard. The top spin-up guard for me is probably going to be Bradley Beal. 1.5 fantasy points per minute last year with no Russell Westbrook on the court. His minutes are very, very secure. He's always at the near the top in terms of league leaders in minutes per game. So I like Bradley Beal if I'm spinning up for a guy. Yo, where's the Red Bull? No Red Bull today. Coke Zero only for me today. Top 3 favorite value plays. Dinwiddie on FanDuel. On FanDuel, it's probably Patrick Williams, Kyle Kuzma, Tyrese Maxey. Best play 3,400 or less in the forward spot. So that is going to be one. Scotty Barnes at 3,400. One of the best value plays on the entire slate. Do you guys like Terrence Ross at all with all those Orlando guys out? No, not really. I mean, I guess he does carry some interest. But I mean, he's just priced appropriately at $5,900, and around this price range at a similar forward spot, we have OG Anunoby and Jaren Jackson Jr., and I'd much rather play those guys and Michael Porter Jr. over Terrence Ross. I would consider all 3 of those guys way before I would consider Terrence Ross. I'm gonna switch up the vibe on the music. Is that Tate under bet decipher with house ruled out? No, I mean, if you go look at the games, like, it doesn't even matter. I don't think he's going to play all that many minutes anyways. So I'm definitely hitting the under on Jae'Sean Tate, regardless of Daniel House playing or not playing. Oubre is in the lineup at shooting guard. Yeah, that makes sense. Duarte starting. Yeah, Duarte starting might fool some people. Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday are still going to play in this game. So it's kind of like the Precious Achiuwa situation where, they are affordable. They are grabbing the start. They are decent fantasy producers. I still pretty skeptical on Duarte. He does seem like he's pretty scoring dependent. But his minutes are just really not going to be there with Justin Holiday and Jeremy Lamb returning. So I'm not on Duarte, even with him starting. You guys got to learn that, like, the starting lineups don't mean everything. They don't mean everything at all. People get fooled by the starting lineups all the time, and they wonder why they lose. Yeah, I'm not going to Chris Duarte now just because he's grabbing the start. Because, yeah, I mean, I knew that Justin Holiday and Jeremy Lamb were back, so him starting, not starting, doesn't really matter to me because I know that they're all going to split those minutes at the 2 and 3 spot. Hobie is chalky. Yeah, agreed. Do you think Will Barton at 5,200 on DK is a good play? I think he's fine. Not really the route I'm going today, though. Straight up Michael Porter Jr. or Jackson Jr. Jackson Jr. for me. But both are great plays. You know, I think some of the routes you can go tonight is you could pay up for 3 studs. There's definitely enough value to do that. Or you could play like Embiid and Jokic and then play some guys in the mid-range like OG Anunoby, Michael Porter Jr., Jaren Jackson Jr. Jalen Green or Maxey straight up? Maxey for sure. Also, preseason games are different than regular season where the main guys go harder and play more. Yeah, absolutely. For sure. And we saw exactly what happened with Chris Duarte in the last preseason game when his shot is not falling. Yeah, he could put up dreadful stats. And that was without Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday. Now those guys are returning, so yeah. 3.3K guy. Probably Alperen Sengun down there. Thoughts on Dozier? Not on Dozier at all. Do you like Giddey? I think Giddey is a fine tournament play. Fine pivot off of the popular 4K guys, specifically Scotty Barnes. But I still side with Barnes over him. 4,600 shooting guard on FanDuel. Let's take a look. Yeah, and if you guys see news before I mention it, make sure to let me know. It's going to be Tyrese Maxey for me at 4,600. Fred VanVleet, Tobias, or Jokic and Jalen Green? Man, that's tough. That's tough. Probably Jokic side. For 3,300 though, he should be good. He does everything. Does he do everything? I mean, we really haven't seen it in a real NBA game. I mean, it's possible. Dinwiddie or Maxey? Dinwiddie for sure. Prefer VanVleet, Barnes, Bane, or OG, Barnes, and Jalen Green. I'm going to go with the OG side there. Yep, Rozier is out. Duarte or Lamb for showdown? I guess I side with Duarte. I think his minutes are a bit more secure than Jeremy Lamb, just because Jeremy Lamb is coming off an injury. Murray or Fox? Fox for sure. Any love for Fred VanVleet? Yeah, Fred VanVleet. I kind of went over it in the Toronto game. You know, there's no Kyle Lowry on this team anymore. Pascal Siakam is obviously out, so I think VanVleet leads this offense in a pace-up spot against a dreadful Washington Wizards defense. Bane if he starts, or Giddey for sure. 6,400 shooting guard on DK. Yeah, this is a weird spot. I would maybe try to move some things around. It's pretty clear right here. It's Derek White for me at 6,100. Derek White or Dinwiddie. Man, if I have it's probably Dinwiddie for me. Pick one of Turner, Oubre, or Washington for a showdown. It's going to be Turner for me. Guard under 6,600. Probably Derek White for me. Yeah, Derek White. Levine, Jaylen Brown, or Booker. Man, that's actually pretty tough. I think I sided with Levine there. You like Tobias Harris today? I think he's more of a secondary play for me today just because I am playing so much Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. I don't really want to get a third guy in there. Kind of caps my upside. But if I'm not playing Embiid or Maxey, yeah, I would definitely get some exposure to Tobias Harris. So Tobias Harris is a good play in a vacuum. How's Alex, Jalen, Barnes, Triple J, Embiid, Melo, Williams, Jokic like it? Jokic and Triple J or Randall and LaMelo? Ooh, man. Probably Jokic and Triple J. I mean, like, Jokic and Embiid are just standout studs today compared to everybody else. And then I love Triple J today. I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of the most underpriced players on the slate. Sorry, need 4,600 shooting guard on FanDuel other than Maxey. Other than Maxey, still have it up. Probably Josh Giddey here. Yeah, probably Josh Giddey. Okogie at power forward. Yeah, I was wondering who was going to grab that final starting spot for the Wolves. So, I mean, that's pretty gross. So, how much is he? He's probably very cheap. I wouldn't consider playing him. Yeah, 3,700. Yeah. Hey, Taylor, just joined live. Thoughts on LaMelo? Yeah, so, I mean, you look at the rates last year with no Terry Rozier and Devontae Graham on the court. His LaMelo's rates don't actually move that much, but he was a rookie last year. You know, he's going to make his biggest improvements in his year 1 to year 2, his year 2 to year 3. So I do expect those numbers to improve this year. So I like LaMelo Ball a lot, especially on FanDuel. DraftKings, I think I prefer Fred VanVleet to him, but you know, he is a pretty decent play on both sides, but specifically FanDuel with LaMelo. Do you like KBGA particularly at his FanDuel price? Yeah, on FanDuel, Kevin Porter Jr. is a near lock for me. DraftKings, he's way too expensive. FanDuel, I love him. Love him a lot. Tatum, a good play, even though Celtics starters all in. Not at his price. If Jaylen Brown was out, yeah, I would love Jason Tatum today. I would get a lot of him. But Jaylen Brown looks like he's going to play, so off of Jason Tatum, personally. Oh, wow. LeVar went to LaMelo's game over Lonzo's? That's crazy. Or would you go Fox over Tatum? I might still go Tatum there if that's the question. Could you play Barnes, Mobley, Precious over Kuzma? Yes, you could play all those guys over Kuzma. If you're talking about the FanDuel lineup, yeah, I mean, that's definitely viable. If you want to make that 1v1 pivot. Why 11K for Embiid against the Pels without Zion blowout? I mean, the game is only a 3.5 point spread right now. So, if you think this game's going to blow out, the line's 3.5 points. Go and slam 76ers right now. If you're that confident in that happening. If you're that confident, you know, Joel Embiid, they are on the road. They're without their two point guards. Tyrese Maxey's starting. Milton and Ben Simmons are both out. So if you feel that strongly about that, go play the 76ers minus 3.5. Will Barton only have 5.1K on FanDuel, shooting guard, small forward? Yeah, that's fine. Frank Jackson starting for the Pistons. Rebounding god. One of the best rebounding guards in the entire league. You like Randall and FanDuel? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's a near lock for me over there. He's just way too cheap. He led the league last year in minutes per game by a full minute. So, I mean, he's going to play a ton. And with no Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel, he's going to play a bunch of the backup 5 minutes. So that is an even bigger boost to Julius Randle. Lonzo Nuclear confirmed. I do like, I mean, you know, I could say I like everybody on this slate because there's 22 entire teams. Like, there's a lot of good plays, but you need to have some conviction when you're playing this big of slates. And yeah, Lonzo is a fine play, but you know, that's probably not something I'm targeting today just because there are so many good plays. Harris and Porter or Sabonis and Jalen Green on DK. Sabonis and Jalen Green for me. I already am playing that minus 3.5. Get it, man. Yeah, I mean, right when the Zion news dropped, you could have got the 76ers at I believe -1. Ja OG or Beal MPJ on FanDuel. Beal and MPJ for sure. Beal and MPJ for sure. But I was wanting to run another 5 pick on here on Prize Picks before we got... Man, Mobley at 31 is a lot. That is a crazy projection, honestly. Because if you told me that he was going to score 31 fantasy points, 4,500 Evan Mobley, I mean, he's affordable on FanDuel as well. I'd hit that too. I'd play him for sure. Man, I'm so tempted to take the over on Joel Embiid, 57 fantasy points. Ja and OG are Beal, MPJ on FanDuel. I just answered that. It's the Beal side. Duarte and Dinwiddie or Maxey and Jalen Green. I'm going to go with Maxey and Jalen Green there. Forward under 4,400 on DK. Looking at Preston Williams. Patrick Williams. Yeah, I think Patrick Williams is fine. They said that they're going to monitor his minutes. But, you know, he should be good to go in this game. I think he plays 32 minutes. And I think people are just, like, not talking about him enough. I think he is a very similar play to Scotty Barnes. except he's just a little more expensive, but he's going to be far, far lower owned. Baines or Barnes? Barnes for sure. Tatum or Randall for sure. We playing Dolphins wide receivers today, I see. What is Jaren Jackson Jr.'s projection actually? 37.5. That's just so fucking high. I like him though a ton. That is a crazy projection. I can't touch that. It's higher than John Morant's. Huh. That makes me think. Thoughts on Mitchell Robinson on DK? Yeah, he's coming back from injury. I don't know how much he plays. And even when he was playing like 30 minutes a game last year at times, he wasn't the best permanent producer. So I'm probably staying away from Mitchell Robinson with so many question marks. Yeah, I got you, Oscar. But yeah, I think Patrick Williams is a good play right there. Someone give me a last play on Prize Picks and I'll throw it in. I need a fifth guy. If you guys have any hot takes on this board, let me know. Yeah, Mitch Rob should be limited. Even with no Taj Gibson and I don't think that they want to give Jericho Sims very much run, if any at all. So I think Randall is going to play all those backup 5 minutes. Randall affects Mitch a lot. Yeah, for sure. Jokic and Embiid viable in same line with all the value. Oh yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Jokic and Embiid is the route I think you should be going over on DraftKings. Man, I could take the under on Wendell Carter Jr. as well. Brog over 34 is enticing. Yeah, you're right. I do like Brog today. I currently have him in on FanDuel. Dude, actually? Wait. TJ McConnell under 25? He just does get steals, and that's the annoying thing because you get 3 points for steals and blocks on Prize Picks, but Brogdon's going to play bigger minutes in this game, and Jeremy Lamb and Justin Holiday are back, so the under looks actually pretty enticing. Randall over 4.5 assists. I like that. Any updates on Patreon? Nope, no updates on Patreon. But even after the slate begins, you know, I will update the sheet. So if you guys want to know exactly what I'm playing on DraftKings and FanDuel and Prize Picks, you guys need to join that Patreon down below. You can join my free Discord as well. Jakob Pertl on DK. No, I'm not on Jakob. KJ over 14 is also nice. 4,200 Green or 4,200 Williams. Green in cash games, but if you want to get different, you can play Patrick Williams. Most people are going to play Green. Jokic and Green or LaMelo and Fred VanVleet. Jokic and Green for me. I take Beasley under 25 before TJ with FanDuel scoring. Yeah, I mean, the FanDuel scoring is kind of the problem with TJ McConnell. Yeah, Beasley under is kind of nice, though. I mean, he's just going to have to play so many minutes. Duarte and Sabonis or VanVleet and Triple J. VanVleet and Triple J. Would you go Barnes or Mobley? If I had the money, I would go with Mobley. If I had the money, I'd go with Mobley. But point per dollar, I side with Scotty Barnes because he is so much cheaper. K-Love DK or 5,900 utility. Would not play K-Love on DK. 5,900 favorite guy is Jaren Jackson Jr. Jalen Green over 14.5 real. That's actually a pretty good call. I'm going to take you up on that, Matt. Single stats. Should shoot 15 times. Yeah, he should shoot a lot. And, you know, I do trust this Rockets team with how much they are going to play their young guys. I don't think they end up playing. I'm going to place this, actually. $50 to win 500. And even if I get 4 of these right, I 2x my money. And I win some of my money back if I get 3 of these right. And I feel pretty damn confident in all of these. So if you guys want to tail this, it's Jay Sean Tate under fantasy points. Bamba under fantasy points, OG Anunoby over fantasy points, Evan Mobley under fantasy points, and Jalen Green over 14.5 real points. $50 to win 500. Let's get it. If you guys want to join over here, get 100% match bonus using code Taylor, TAYLOR. Okay. Okay, to play Jokic and MPJ and OG and Barnes. Yeah, I think that's definitely fine. Prize picks, take Pokusevski for OKC really getting 19 fantasy points. I mean, he definitely could. I mean, he is a good permanent producer, and if this game does blow out, he's going to dominate in that fourth quarter. It's just a little risky for me, and he can pick up steals and blocks, and those add points very, very quickly. Maxey, Duarte, Bane, Barnes, Embiid, Dinwiddie, Randall, Jokic. I'm not really on Duarte or Bane, but I like the rest of it. I mean, I guess I see what you're doing. You're trying to play Randall, Embiid, and Jokic, so I guess that is the route you would have to take. Could you not play Scotty Barnes over one of those guys? Not in play. No, I'm not really considering Nickeil Alexander-Walker today. We got 7.5 minutes to lock, guys. Walker or Schroeder? Walker for me. Although Schroeder does receive a bump with no Josh Richardson. Favorite bet tonight? Probably the over in the Washington Wizards and Toronto Raptors game. Mobley or Barnes. If I have the money, I would go with Mobley there. But Barnes point per dollar. But if you have the extra money to go up to Mobley, do that. But I wouldn't change around your lineup just to make that work. Lillard outscores Jokic. I mean, that'd be tough. That would be quite the outlier, given the situation with no Jamal Murray. 6,900, small forward, point guard, or power forward. So pretty much utility. Let me take a look. You said no point guard. Oh, you did say point guard. It's probably Lonzo Ball there. Probably Lonzo Ball, yeah. Steven Adams a good GPP play. Steven Adams and GPP sound funny next to each other, but he is so cheap. So cheap. $4,700 on DraftKings that I think he is viable on this slate for sure. But, you know, he put up a big game in the preseason. And if you look at the rotations, it looks like Steven Adams was on pace to play like 32 minutes. So at $4,700, you know, I think you're going GPP if you're not playing two of these stud centers. So yeah, I think that he's fine. Fournier or Schroeder? Schroeder for sure. What were the prize picks plays? I placed a 5 pick, and it was the under on Mo Bamba, Mobley. Actually, let me just bring it up. Okay. The play I had was Evan Mobley under 31 fantasy points, Jalen Green over 14.5 real points, OG Anunoby over 32 fantasy points, under Mo Bamba 35 fantasy points, and Jayshawn Tate under 24 fantasy points. Jokic or Embiid? Embiid for me, but I'm playing both. FanDuel, yeah, I'm playing Embiid on FanDuel. How many Raptors is too many, and how would you rank them? I would rank them OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, then Fred VanVleet, and I'm fine with playing all three of them, but I'm typically just playing two. I'm not playing all that much of Fred VanVleet. Duarte or Lamb straight up in showdown? Probably Duarte, just because Lamb is coming off injury. I trust Duarte's minutes a bit more, considering he's grabbing the start, but yeah, if you're talking showdown, yeah, it's probably Duarte. Finals, Spencer, Caruso, Anunoby, Pat Williams, Embiid, Maxey, Triple J, Jokic, run it. That is the lineup, Brandon. One of the lineups. I really like that. I'm trying to see what the... Oh, I guess you could go down from Pat Williams to Scotty Barnes, and then up from Caruso to Jalen Green. I really like that. Marshall, Kuz, or Oubre, and Barnes. It's going to be the Oubre Barnes side. How you like that? Yeah, any other slate, I would love Karl-Anthony Towns here, especially in this spot. But I think Jokic and Joel Embiid are considerably better plays at the same position for not too much more. So on any other given slate, Karl-Anthony Towns might be my favorite spend up option on the slate. But with there being 22 teams on this slate, I'm just not getting to all that much of him. But if you want to play him, like, dude, plant your flag, play Karl-Anthony Towns. I think he's a great play. The best matchup in the entire NBA tonight. Melo or Murray? Melo for me. Robert Williams or Mobley? Robert Williams for sure. AK utility. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's probably LaMelo. Man, it's between LaMelo Ball and Christian Wood here. It's probably LaMelo Ball, though. Maxey or Dinwiddie? Dinwiddie for me. OG or Jaren Jackson? It's going to be Jaren Jackson for me. Dinwiddie, Barton, OG, Barnes, Sabonis, Maxey, Triple J, Jokic. I like that. I like it. Embiid is about to abuse J-Val. I mean, dude, Embiid is going to take all of his Ben Simmons frustrations out on this New Orleans Pelicans front court. And it is going to be a sight to behold. And I'm not going to be the one holding the bag, missing out on Joel Embiid. Tyrese Maxey, Embiid, Jokic, MPJ, OG, Barnes, Dinwiddie, Jalen Green, Kyle. Ding, 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 ding. You have the lineup. Congrats on the money. Any changes to the FanDuel lineup since you posted it? Nope, no changes. Lonzo and Sabonis or Embiid and OG? Embiid and OG for me, for sure. Green or Dinwiddie? Dinwiddie. All right, guys, we got a couple of minutes till lock. Make sure to subscribe, like this video if you guys enjoyed it. I'm going to be here every single day, posting my videos pretty much every day at 7 a.m. Central Time, and then I will be live streaming every single day an hour before lock. Big shout out Prize Picks. Barrett or Schroeder? Barrett for me. Yeah, we hit our Prize Picks pretty easily yesterday with the under LaMarcus Aldridge. I think he scored like 8 fantasy points. And his projection was like 23. And then we hit the under Kevon Looney because we knew that Kevon Looney was probably only going to play 3 quarters because the Warriors like to close small. So that hit. It was a bit of a scare in the first half, but you know, we ended up prevailing, tripling up our money on the first day. Tatum or Beal for a 2-game slate? Beal for sure. Failing Prize Picks for 50. Let's go. Get run back for CJ and Nurk Payne. Yeah, I mean, some interesting reporting out there from the Trailblazers. Porter Jr. or OG straight up? OG for me. I'm checking my DMs right now. Roger. I like the first one, Roger. I'll just type it to you. LaMelo, Maxey, Caruso, Jalen Green, KBJ, OG, Randall, Oubre, Embiid, FanDuel lineup. Thoughts? Yeah, I like it. I don't mind it. I'm not really on Oubre all that much tonight, but I think he's fine. We got 30 minutes till lock, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Make sure to subscribe. I'm very, very close to my coveted 25 subscribers over here on YouTube. I just discovered you like a month ago and swear I've won around 3.5K. You're so good, bro. Just signed up for Patreon. Good luck tonight, everyone. Yeah, I appreciate the love, Brandon. Glad you guys are winning some money. We had some big winners last night in the Discord. That Discord is completely free. So if you guys want to join that, I believe we're at like 1,400, 1,500 members in there. We're growing at an unprecedented rate, but yeah, it is lock time, guys. I will be in the Discord and Patreon updating you guys up until the final game locks. Appreciate you guys being here. I'll be back here tomorrow at 7 a.m. Central Time with my new video. And then tomorrow I will be here again at an hour before lock, which I believe it locks at 6:30 p.m. Central Time, so 30 minutes later than today, but I will be live for a full hour before that. So appreciate you guys being here. Best of luck.